Yo, what's up my homies? We're back again with a new video. I hope you guys enjoy. Today, we're going to go through our UFC 280 predictions. So it's going to be the top 3 fights of the prediction. I'm just going to have a quick breakdown on all 3 fights, who I'm thinking are going to win, and ways in which each fighter may be able to get it done. So if you enjoy this sort of content, like and subscribe. And yeah, let's get into the video. So before we get into our first fight with Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley, I've got a couple of fights that I'm really keen to watch on this card. So the first one is going to be Sean Brady versus Belal Muhammad. I am massive on Sean Brady. I think Sean Brady's got a massive future up and coming. Really good Gracie black belt jiu-jitsu versus Belal Muhammad, who is a really good wrestler to boxer. Will always push the pace in that. The other fight is Muhammad Makhachev versus Malcolm Gordon. And I think this is going to be a big showcase of Muhammad Makhachev. He's a really, really good fighter, really good wrestler, amazing fighter. Like, get excited to watch this guy fight. He's going to pick this guy apart, wrestling, all that sort of stuff. So I'm a massive fan of wrestlers and grappling overall. I love my striking as well, but I think this Makhachev has got a massive future, so definitely watch out for him. So the first matchup I'm going to talk about is Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley. So first of all, Peter Yan is a really, really good fighter. He does build up into the fight. So in his first couple of rounds, he doesn't really do too much attacking. Really warms into the contest. He gets a lot of reads from people. I feel like this is where Sean O'Malley can kind of pick him apart within the early rounds. Me and shout out Brody, my bro, watching a lot of fights together and all that sort of stuff. He did point that out as well. He does expect Sean O'Malley to get it done by decision. I kind of do agree with him in a way. Within the early rounds, I do see Sean staying on the outside, peppering Peter Yan. And the one thing with Sean, he doesn't really throw up the same thing all the time. He does switch up a lot. So I don't see Peter Yan really catching on to too many of the same strikes coming at the same time, and that I do see Sean mixing it up a lot more and giving so many different looks. Obviously, the biggest talking point is the way that Sean does combat with like leg injuries and that sort of stuff, like leg kicks and stuff. I did say in the Munoz fight, the last fight, he was combating that pretty nicely, but still his legs get eaten up a lot because he's got that wider stance, sort of that karate stance that he switches between the two stances. That I do rate his boxing overall, but Peter Yan is a master of boxing as well. So I'm really excited to see how this one goes. I see Sean probably getting it done more so by decision as well. I think that Sean will just pick him off for the first 3 or so rounds. Then Peter Yan, the third round is going to be the big decisive one where Peter Yan will turn it on, and he'll probably more so go into Terminator mode. I do see him kind of like finding clinches a lot more, but with Sean, because of his footwork and the way he moves off of the cage, I don't see him getting clinched up too much. So I'm going to go Sean O'Malley by decision. The next fight, and one of the most interesting fights I believe, probably the best fight I could probably talk about over the weekend, is Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw. So with Aljo, I'm a massive fan of Aljo's skills. Him as a person, that I've already had it, but his skills I am a massive fan of. I love a really good jiu-jitsu practitioner, but also the weird thing about Aljo, he is a kick-first operator with the striking. You don't see him use his hands too much to get into range. He uses kicks to keep the distance. He's kind of got that, like, sort of, if I can put it as a simple term, if anyone's ever heard of the Gracie practitioners, like the way they go about fights and stuff is green zone, red zone, green zone. So basically for a jiu-jitsu boy, most of the time you don't want to be in that red zone, which is most likely your boxing zones. This is where TJ is going to feast all over Aljo, and I do see this kind of going that way. But Aljo loves to be either in close with clinches and wrestling, which I don't really see him getting over TJ. TJ is an amazing wrestler, got an 86% takedown defense. And then you think of the other green zone, which is outside of that boxing range, most likely in kicking range. So it's where jiu-jitsu boys like to keep the outside. It's kind of like basically all it is self-defense. Like, you don't want to be so close to someone where they can box you, but you want to be in close where you can clinch up. And you don't want to be, and the best other way is to be outside with that kicking zone, because if you're thinking in a street fight and that sort of stuff, you can basically just walk away. Like, you don't need to actually engage there. That's kind of the Gracie's way of self-defense. Aljo uses that in competition in more so. So he uses kicks to keep the distance. It's kind of like a points. He's getting points, aiming points, aiming points. He's going to circle the outside of the cage. You'll see TJ kind of try to cut him off in certain angles and that. And this is where I see TJ's striking actually being beneficial against someone like Aljo. TJ is a master of, he'll bounce in and out, switching stance and cutting off angles. He'll throw that like left high kick to try and keep him from coming circling too much. And Aljo's a circler. He'll circle in and out. He's got good footwork there. If he shoots him for a takedown, I do see TJ just stuffing it most of the time. The only way I see this kind of going is kind of like the way Sandhagen did about things and is attacking TJ's legs with more so leg lock attacks and stuff like that. If Aljo finds a way to maybe pull guard and probably pull under from TJ. But I don't know. I just don't see that from TJ. I see probably TJ dominating him in the striking range. I don't see too much grappling going on here. I think TJ's going to get it done. I'm going to say a third round TKO. That's my opinion. And the last fight I want to talk about, obviously the main event, we got Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. It's going to be such an interesting fight. Again, as I said with the Aljo fight, this is one that I've been thinking about for a long time. What I do believe, if this is going to become a grappling match, which both are, more experienced grapplers than they are strikers, I do see a lot of this fight happening in a half guard. So for a jiu-jitsu practitioner, probably the worst place you want to be in an MMA fight is bottom half. More so because you're more likely to get controlled from bottom half than you are if you're in like if you're in guard. You got a lot more to play with. Butterfly hooks, you got more to play with. You can elevate and stuff. With half guard, if someone is really good with body control, chest to chest, getting those underhooks, getting those cross faces, and just riding out. And then there's a lot of striking options there in MMA. So with saying that also, from half guard, there is a couple of things a jiu-jitsu boy will do to combat half guard. A lot of things we've been playing with at gym at Base Training Center. Shout out Base Training Center, Damian Brown, amazing gym. A lot of things we've been doing a lot lately is obviously knee shield. So a knee shield from half guard kind of stops that pressure that comes from the top, that like flattens people out and stuff. You get your knee shield, get to a side. You have a lot of opportunities to base out, create space, and then you play the opportunity whether, shout out to Aaron Blackie, he explains this so amazingly. It's sort of like you basically have time for them to choose the way they want to go about things. If they want to go too overzealous and they're going to dart back into your guard, like they're going to push your half guard up, you can go out the back door. If they're going to sit up, you got like all different attacks there to just get to stand up. If they try to post up on their legs and that, you got like leg lock opportunities and stuff. I just believe that Islam is got all this stuff in his mind as well. He's a very, very smart wrestler. He puts his pressure in all the right places. And I'll see if it ever gets to this position, I do see Islam taking advantage and really peppering Charles on the ground. Charles is such a good operator from his back. If he's in half, I do see him probably using scrambles to get out, more so a knee shield, trying to go out the back door with underhooks. He's going to try and create space and just roll around a little bit, which could be tricky for Islam to get around, but I've seen Islam control some really decent people on their back. Other ways that so I don't believe Islam will go the classic way of everyone believes because Islam and Khabib, all that sort of stuff that, they're not going to, he's not going to shoot a double into a takedown. I won't even see him shooting singles too much. I believe that Islam's really, really nice from clinch wrestling. So like Greco-Roman, he uses a lot of really nice foot sweeps, gets balance off that way. Charles is actually really decent in this area as well. He does a lot of work there too. And those elbows that he ranges as well, really in close range. I do believe there's going to be some issues there, but Islam is a very strong opponent as well. Like everything I look at here, like I love Charles so much. I believe Charles throws up so many different looks that could really pop off and catch Islam with submissions. But I just believe that Islam is that type of fighter. He's just going to fight for everything. I do also believe that Islam can be mentally, he's not the same as Khabib, where Khabib will just fight for everything no matter what. You're not really going to tap him. He's just got this mental switch. He's got this drive in him. Islam hasn't got that. Islam can be put on the back foot early. And this is where I see Charles probably taking advantage of this fight. If Charles gets the advantage on the feet, so Charles has got really good Muay Thai sort of boxing that he's implemented to MMA with nice teeps through the middle. He's got an amazing left hook that has a really a lot of power behind it. I believe it's because technically he just gets it right every time. This is where I see Charles probably having more of his advantage. Islam's a decent striker, but I believe Charles has got better striking. When it comes to the ground, like jiu-jitsu wise, Charles is better jiu-jitsu wise, right? But Islam's a better wrestler. Islam will get him into places and cause a lot of issues there. And I believe he's smart enough defensively with submissions to get out of a lot of the worst places that Charles is going to put him in. So I do believe most of this fight, if it goes to the ground, is going to end up in half guard, and half guard is going to be the way Islam's going to attack Charles and maybe just pressure him using Russian ties, obviously bringing his opponent back down to the ground and pound. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to go Islam by decision. I really believe that's probably the way it's going to go. But I would love to see Charles get the win with submission. It would be awesome for all the jiu-jitsu boys out there to show up. So I will be supporting Charles in this fight. I love Charles Oliveira, but I do kind of think that Islam is going to get it done by decision. But let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on the fight. Shout out to people like Dan Hardy, amazing breakdowns on YouTube. If you want to go check out Dan Hardy, Full Reptile. Amazing breakdowns with the War Room. Shout out to all the boys at the gym, Base Training Center out there. One of the best gyms going in Queensland. Thank you so much, guys. Peace out.